Mary Simon, get to know that name. She has been named the 30th Governor General of Canada. She's a designate right now, but her appointment makes her the first Indigenous person in that position. For more on this, our Chase team has reached Natan Obed. He is the national Inuit leader. He is in Ottawa. And actually, Natan, great to have you on the program. You were at the museum. You were watching Mary Simon, being introduced as stepping into this role. What was in your heart at that moment?
It was incredibly emotional. It was to see somebody like Mary Simon, who is an unquestioned Indigenous leader in this country and has been for decades, be recognized for her leadership and her service in taking on this new responsibility as Governor General, was something that was really powerful in my eyes, that we're at a place where a Governor General leads with an Indigenous language, leads with Inuk, but also talks about bringing Canada together and trying to see optimism and hope in our future for all Canadians, no matter what ethnicity, no matter what our backgrounds. It was really powerful.
There was one moment in her speech, and she said this in English: "Thank you to the Prime Minister for the courage it took to appoint me as Governor General." Why do you think she used that word courage? What did you take it to mean?
For a long time, there have been barriers in place for First Nations, Inuit, and Métis in this country, whether it's because of systemic racism, whether it's because of the fact that Indigenous languages are not official languages, and therefore Inuit, First Nations, and Métis sometimes are passed over because they might not have bilingualism in English and French. Mm-hmm. Those are the types of things that she might have been referencing. I also think that we are in a time where the relationship between Indigenous peoples in Canada and Canada is not something that is entirely positive as far as where we are. And so for a Prime Minister to have faith in an Indigenous person and to choose that person, appoint that person to this particular role as the Queen's representative in Canada, with all of those surrounding conversations in this country, I think it did take courage, and I am very proud of the Prime Minister for making that decision.
So if you're very proud of the Prime Minister, I'm just wondering how far that goes across the country. Let me be totally crass. Do you think it was a political move on the Prime Minister's part because he wants you to be proud of him? He wants the country to be proud.
Well, I do believe that this decision was not made specifically in light of the last 3 weeks. I was fortunate enough to be a part of the advisory group that considered over 100 eminent Canadians that went through a process where my eyes were opened as to just the diversity of leadership and service that exists in this country. Mm-hmm. And so Mary Simon was one of those names, but she was there based on her record. And I believe that she is going to serve based on the experience and the knowledge, the expertise, the intelligence that she has as a Canadian, mm-hmm. and that she'll bring her experience as an Inuk into this place.
You know what? I don't want to have you get the impression that I'm questioning her accomplishments or the the basis for the decision. I'm just questioning, I suppose, the timing of now, the first Inuk person to take that role. That's what I'm questioning, I suppose, and asking about the raw politics of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, there have been conversations over the past 2 decades about whether or not Canada is ready for an Indigenous Governor General and whether that would be appropriate. So it is a long-standing political conversation, and absolutely it's not black and white. Yeah. And many Indigenous people have very negative feelings towards that institution. But that's not all Indigenous people. Mm-hmm. And so I think this part of this political nuance here is that First Nations, Inuit, and Métis have different experiences with the Crown. They have also different ways to celebrate or not celebrate being Canadian. And so from all of my Facebook feed, Inuit across Canada are celebrating this moment, and many other First Nations and Métis and other Canadians are joining in, and that's wonderful to see. Whether this scores political points, whether the Prime Minister has done this exclusively as a diversion tactic, or just I don't believe that for a second. I also, just to say that we have a lot of business to do with the Prime Minister, and I am not as celebratory in nature of all the things that we're doing with this government. But on this occasion, on this day, I think that the right decision was made, and I think it was made for the right reasons.
I have one final question for you. It has to do with the fact that Mary Simon has said, her dad came from the north, her dad came from the south, her mom came from the north, and she was like a bridge. And that's what she wants to be, is a bridge to help in reconciliation and in the reflection, I think, that is going on across the country right now. And you told me your heart was, you're so full of joy as an Inuit person that this is happening. But sometimes when your father is the teacher, the kid gets treated a little bit tougher because nobody wants him to get, special treatment. So I'm wondering if you are still convinced that she's going to play this role of being a bridge without seeming to prioritize Inuit concerns over other concerns. Is that something that you've thought about?
Absolutely. And I would ask Canadians to have an open heart and open mind about this selection. And I would also say that no matter who was chosen, they have to come from somewhere. They come from a community. They have a strong family, a strong province or territory. They are proud Canadians in a very specific way. And I think Mary is a proud Inuk, and she obviously will bring that experience into her role. But I also believe in my heart that she will serve that role, not serve her own community. I ask Canadians to give her that chance, and I believe that they'll be glad that they did.
I want to thank you, Natan. Always a pleasure to have you on the program, and I wish you well.
Yeah, I wish you well as well.
Natan Obed is the National Inuit Leader, and he is in Ottawa.